We're starting. Are we live? Is this thing live?
Are we live? Is it live? Is it Friday?
Welcome everybody. I don't know how this mic's going to do. It seems to be going in and out. But hey, is everybody doing good today? It's Friday the 7th. Friday the 7th already?
November 7th already, man. Yeah. Happy Friday. It's
Yeah.
starting to get cold here on the East Coast, and now the fun winter gets into the season, and next thing you know, we'll be having Thanksgiving dinner, and
Dude, don't even say it.
I know, man. It all goes so fast, you know.
I just saw somebody sent a picture of the tree. Let me put this on mute. Somebody sent me the picture of the tree at the mall, the giant Christmas tree already. I'm like, are you serious? It's been like, isn't it still Halloween?
Oh, dude, so this, what is it? The other day, I'm going to the gym, and I live like right around the block from my gym, but I saw houses like up the hill.
No.
And they're decorated, like
no.
Literally. Yeah, full Christmas lights
already. I can't do it.
I was just like, what? This is the first year.
Yeah.
You know,
and the fact that literally we I don't even know what I was gonna say. I gotta keep talking. Sorry, I'm trying to turn things on and off. I should have set all this up earlier.
Yeah. But it's odd to see Christmas kind of before Thanksgiving, and I love Thanksgiving, man. Especially you know, you got a couple of days off of work. It's a little more time.
You're already taking time off of work.
You know, like you get that. I'm already there mentally. It's a little more time to play guitar. Thinking about what I'm going to ask my wife for Christmas. You know,
what's on the list this year?
I can't spend a lot of money, obviously, because we're trying to save to buy our next house. But I'm thinking I want to get the Kemper, the profile, the small one.
Okay, yeah.
Like $500 or $600. So I'm thinking that's going to be on my list, and that's going to be it, because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on that. But
okay.
What do you have anything on your list for?
No,
Santa
you know what? Funny enough, I did see. I saw. They put out that. What is it? The Tonex, the little thing. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's all over. Of course, today everybody started releasing their videos, and that cracks me up the way they do those things. I mean, I don't mind. I understand marketing. I understand.
Sure.
All that stuff. That it's sales, but I think it's funny that I'm noticing in all the videos, the one thing nobody's talking about, at least I haven't seen, is the comparison to the Katana Go, the Go, the little Go, Boss Katana Go. Is it called Katana Go, or is it just Boss Go or something?
No, it's Katana Go, I believe.
Yeah. So I've seen a few people say something about the Fender, comparing it to the Fender, but not a single person has said, and I'm sure it's an amazing piece of gear. I mean, Tonex captures great. Their software, they're saying they dialed it in pretty well, to the point actually that they think, I got like a girl's collar shirt on. I got this Van Halen shirt in a vintage market, and I'm like, was this a girl's shirt? So yeah, I love the Katana Go. I think it's a great little travel thing that sounds great. It sounds like the Boss Katanas. I mean, it has all the options and everything. You could dial things in. It's not perfect, but this Tonex one has me curious, because I haven't used any of the Tonex stuff, but the sound great.
I am all about the Tonex. I have the bigger one, and I got it like within like the first month it came out a couple of years ago, and it's such a great piece of gear. And honestly, it's like, I think it's, at the time it was like a little less than $400, and it's like, I don't know if we've had this conversation yet, but gear is so good like nowadays, and like it's not that expensive. It's like, we're talking about the Katana Go, we're talking about the Tonex. I mean, I honestly use this stuff more than I use my tube amps. Like, I still have an old Yamaha THX, which I love, and like, again, that thing is like, I bought that used for $150. It's like, and it sounds killer.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the thing, like, you know, when people play guitar, they want something they can plug into and just play. I don't want to sit there. I don't want to have to dial a lot of tones in or anything. I
Yep.
just want to plug in. I want to play. I don't want to deal with like a billion options. Now, the Tone X, there is a billion options, but I just pretty much use, like, I have a bunch of the patches that I had downloaded, profiles rather, that I have downloaded, and kind of have them set up the way that I like them. So
Mm-hmm.
I mostly have everything so that when I get in front of my computer, you know, I'm playing guitar.
Right.
It's you know, it's my time is limited, obviously, so I want to use my time as, you know, as great as I can. But yeah, no, man, I have so much, you know, back in the day when the profiling and the digital amp thing was kind of like, you know, like when they had all the line 6 stuff, when it wasn't really good, it wasn't owned by Yamaha, it was kind of crappy. um but nowadays it's just so insanely good, and it's so insanely cheap that, like, you know, I love my katanas. I just don't,
Yeah.
you know, I'm so amazed at just the tones I can dial in on it and get going. Whereas, like, with my tube amps, and I love tube amps and I love that, but that's some of my favorite. That's some of my favorite gear. What about guitars? Do you have any? Have you gotten in on the cheap guitar thing?
I do. So real quick though, we got a few people watching. Just want to say hey to everybody. Like always, you know, drop some stuff in the comments. Let us know if you're interested in any topics. We'll step on today. Actually, we're going to talk a little about. We're going to continue on that top 5 list thing. So last week we did top 5 guitar players, which, you know, how the hell do you do that? But we managed. We made it 2-hour podcast and managed. But we have. This week we're going to do top 5 80s guitar players, which it may have some crossover. It does for me. And even that, I had a really hard time pulling it down to 5 because most of my biggest influence, whether it's top 5 shrapnel guys, top 5 guitar instructors that I like, top 5, well, they're all in the 80s anyway.
Yeah.
So but then, so let us know if you guys have a top 5 of anything or anybody that you want to talk about. Also, please do like, subscribe, do all that stupid stuff because I'm so late to the boat on this, and we're trying to build this audience. We're actually seeing the flip around. This week was the first week that we're getting more subscribers than we're losing. Because I told you when we first started this, people were like, "Wait, I don't play guitar anymore. It's been 10 years. I don't need this feed anymore. Goodbye."
Yeah. Oh, this is my dad's YouTube page, and
right,
he's like, he moved. Like, I'm just on this computer here.
It's so good. So yeah, and so with this katana stuff too, it's funny because for me it's more of a tone thing, or it's more of a feel thing than it is the tone, because the tones are all relatively good. You can get them in a place where it's manageable, and for me, I mean, the tones actually sound really good. Let me turn down my headphones real quick. So the tones sound really good. It's just there is a little. It's not a latency thing. It's just this little dynamic feel thing. And I think Katana got it really well with really good with their amps and the Katana Go, where you can like turn down your volume on your guitar. You get that cleaned up tone a little, and it's still dynamic though. Where I remember the pod and all those kind of things. It just felt like now you're just playing like computer notes, sort of. Like it just didn't have any dynamic range in it. And so not trying the Tone X at all, I assume that's there in
it's
beyond.
surprisingly, like, you know, obviously it's not perfect. I would say it's like 90%, 95% of it, like, you know, in terms of what I hear in my own experience. But I mean, enough where to the point where, like, you know, if I go to the Tone X and, you know, I can't dial my 800, my JCM 800, obviously. I live in a townhouse. Nobody's
Right.
going to, you know, so this is great. I can kind of get a reasonable facsimile. The feel is kind of there. Latency's a little off, but honestly, it's not enough for me to sit there and go, oh, I can't use this. It's just, it's such a great tool. It's such a great asset. Young players, man, they have it made. I mean, like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, I got my dad got me my first guitar. It was a PV Bandit, or I'm sorry, a PV Patriot, which was like P90s. And it was an American guitar. I still have it somewhere. It's in my mom's storage locker. I had a PV Bandit, which was like a little 30-watt, or I think it was 30. No, that was the Bandit. 30-watt. It was made to sound like kind of like a JCM 800. Right. And my dad got me the DS1, the Boss DS1, and like it was so limited in what it could do and what it could sound like, and it just, you had to, like, you go to your friend's house to jam, you'd go to band practice, and it was like, all right, well, this is my tone, I got to make it work, and you would just play, and it was like, that's what you did in the 80s. And it's like now we sound like I had to walk up a hill in the snow without my shoes to go to school. It's like I had to use a PV Bandit, and
I had a Gorilla. I had a Gorilla amp. Remember those things? It was and I still have it. That's the only thing I have from back in the day. And I think I think PV Bandit was one of my first better amps. Then I got a PV Classic 30, which I still wish I had, because I remember
it's a great amp.
Yeah, I got another one back at music school, and then I sold it again. Okay. I remember Shane Terrier used to use one. He used to love those. He actually had one of the heads too, the PV 30. I think it was a PV 30, or maybe it was a PV 50.
Yeah.
But he loved that amp, and he did a lot of stuff recording on that. And then I think I went to Guitar Center maybe 4 or 5 years ago and saw one, and I was about to pull the trigger on it because it sounded really, really good. But now I'm in the world. I have my Soldano, my 30. I have other amps. I just don't need. So, and funny enough, that's something that I got into this week, where, man, for about a year I was plugging into the Soldano, and maybe thrown into the EVH Stealth every once in a while. That's a 50-watt amp. And it was awesome. It was so much fun. And I'm using no pedals, maybe an EQ in the back, maybe using some delay or reverb in the effects loop. But otherwise, it's just plugging in and playing. And it was awesome. And last week, I think it was last week, that I didn't really, I was liking my tone, but there was a mic issue with this whole feed or whatever. And I was actually going through my lav, like the mic on my amp wasn't being picked up. It was my lav mic that was picking up the room audio, so the sound was just off. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my amp speaker back there. And then I was like, wait, I have my Mike Landau amp, my Fender Landau. It's like a DeVille amp, but with his speaker cabinet, with his speaker in it, and 2 clean channels instead of 1 distorted channel. Right. And it is a pedal platform. And now that I'm pulling out these pedals and starting to do that, like, all right, I'm going to try that. And so we went through the pedal board. I had a few things on there. The one thing I didn't have on there that I haven't stopped using since we talked last was the Angry Charlie. Right. Into that reverb, Fender reverb. Dude, it sounds glorious. And so one thing I was actually working on this week was that, because you brought it up, that, what was that Jason Becker tune?
What, 11 Blue
11,
Egyptians?
Yeah, 11 Blue Egyptians. Dude, so that is funny because, let me see if I can turn down this camera a little. So, can you hear this?
Yes.
Well, so again, this is where it's funny. I think it's coming, you know what? Maybe because
it doesn't sound like it's coming through the computer. It just seems
this
like...
might...
That's
okay, so... whatever, but it's such a cool, but and again, even though the mic's picking it up now a little, it doesn't sound as cool as it does when I'm just playing in my room.
Yeah, of course.
Because the speaker, the amp is over there, and when I'm on my couch, it sounds like it's actually spinning around in this whole. I have like this cove area where there's a fireplace and there's 4 walls, and it's like a small room attached to my big room here. And it just sounds like it's echoing all over the place, dude.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that whole thing with sounds.
Yeah. So I mean, it just, and then I was playing the Jason Becker, that what is that? How does it? Whatever, it's When You Wish Upon a Star.
Yeah.
But dude, so and the thing that I love about Jason's playing again is those weird bends he does. So when he goes, when he does that, instead of just going to that note, he goes below it and bends it up a half step. So and here, instead of going to this note, he goes and he walks down a chromatic scale. So you have so you get that weird wishy-washy, and then he chromatically walks down to the scale.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's hard. It's really hard to do.
It is. And then his little bends too is getting those intervals to sing. He does in the tune Drop in a Bucket. He goes, let me see. Then he goes to this arpeggio thing. That's it. But then he gets to this part. So he's doing these, it's all pentatonic, but he gets this weird bend. So he goes to another position and he bends those up. But the way he does it, and with his tone, it's such this slick kind of sliding up and down. Yeah. Dude, it's brilliant. He is, yeah, that's why he's one of the most amazing. And so, and the funny thing with that 11 Blue Egyptians too, so there's so many, there's this one part that he does that I see some people playing it on YouTube, and not that they get it wrong, they get the notes right. The transcription, first of all, the transcription in the tab book, I don't even know who put it out or whatever, but I did find a PDF of all the songs. Man, it is massively off. It's got some of the right notes. Some of the notes are just, there's one part in particular, he does a whole tone scale in that, right? There's this little break thing where he goes, and again, I'm not Jason Becker, but he goes, you know, he gets into that or whatever. But it's all just, it's all whole steps, right? It's such, dude, it is so unbelievably good. But the transcription in the actual book is major scale, C major. Yeah. What? Yeah. How do you not hear that? You know,
if a book, you know, it's funny, like, you know, books from like the 80s and early 90s, if it wasn't the three gurus, like if it wasn't Jesse Grass, because he was the main dude.
Oh, yeah.
It was Jesse Grass and Wolf Marshall. Yep. And then like Chris Amelar was another guy that did a lot of them. Who was my teacher.
By the way, our rhinoceros says, hey buddy, thanks for showing up.
What's going on? Yeah, no, we've been just kind of going in.
Right.
But yeah, it's
Play.
funny. Like,
He's saying play that clean and in tone. Let me try throw on a cleanish tone.
hey, you do that. I'm gonna go grab something real quick.
Yeah.
Be right back.
See. So that's a clean tone. So that whole tone scale, basically all it is 5, 7, 9, and then you move up a half step. So 6, 8, 10, then 7, 9, 11. So it's, and then you walk down. And I think he's hammering on the first 3, then picking the next 3, actually, and then just picking the whole thing. So the first 3 are hammer-ons. And then you do the same pattern here, starting. Once you get down to that, you move up a whole step. So it's all whole step. It's just, the whole scale is you can walk up whole step here. Right, it's just whole steps one after another. So you have. And the way I do it when I'm trying to get it fast is picture where my first finger's going, right? So I'm going up 1 fret down a string, 1 fret down a string, and it's all whole step stretches. All right. So, right, yeah. I mean, you got it. Rhinoceros. It's pretty simple. It's pretty cool, but it's what I was going to talk to Steve about on the next one, which let me turn these guys back on. The next part that's really interesting in this whole thing is the part that gets into what I believe is why they call it 11 Blue Egyptians. And actually, before I say that, I'm going to let Steve come back. I do have another thing that we're going to go over with the song Air, because there's a lot of really cool arpeggio things in that. And there's some simple movements that happen. Even the very beginning, that's with keyboard stuff. If you transcribe it for guitar, yeah. So Steve, we were just talking a little about that one whole tone scale thing, and get that camera right there. You go, perfect.
There we go.
Yep. And then so that whole tone thing that we were talking about was really simple, but it's so effective, right? To get that open, weird kind of sound. But the one thing, do you know why they call it why he called it 11 Blue Egyptians?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's AI. Let's see. We'll find out together.
It'll be. I have a theory as to why. I'm going to actually reach out to Jason, because I know he does. He has a few people that he's dealing with transcribing some of his stuff, and I definitely want to talk to him.
Doesn't say anything here. I'm going to check into it. But here's my show and tell for today.
Oh wow, dude!
Yeah,
move that up. Move it up. Move it up. Back. Go back, and then move it up in frame. Keep going. Just raise the whole thing. No. Don't come closer. There you go. Okay. Oh, dude, that's amazing.
And here we go. It's a first press. It's an actual shrapnel. It's not a reissue.
Dude, that looks like it's in mint condition too.
Oh, yeah. All my records are in really good condition. But
wow.
Yeah, no, this is such a it's in real good. Some of them I have are in not so good condition, but like a lot of my records this one particularly is just insanely clean. I mean,
wow, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, this is a treasure. And it was funny. I picked this up probably like at the flea market by my house in Elmwood Park in New Jersey. I want to say probably like 1987, 88, whatever the year the record came out.
Right.
I've had this thing for
Wow.
Almost 40 years, man. Here's another thing that just blew my mind. In this last week, I was on Bruce Boulier from Racer X's Facebook page, and he's talking. He posted a bunch of Instagram stuff that he was doing, like all the rhythm tracks from Second Heat, and I just was like, I just dawned on me. It's like, holy crap, man! This is the 40th anniversary, like another year of all these records. I'm starting. It's like I'm like, oh my god, I'm starting to feel old. I'm like, wow, how are we
Yeah.
getting to this point where these records that influence us as kids are like
Yep.
40-year-old records?
Dude, it
But
goes quickly.
holy crap.
Rhinoceros said the MVP Centrifugal Funk. Dude, was that the one with Sean Lane?
I believe that was, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that was, yeah, that's one of my favorite. I remember when that came out, that stayed on my list for a while.
Yeah, that was
but was that Frank Gambale too? Like there was two people on that, I think. Or no, was that Brett Garcid?
Hang on, I forgot if there was like
I think Brett Garcid was on that.
Sean Lane, Brett Garcid, and Gambale.
Yeah.
And I went to NAMM in '94, I want to say. And it was like the first NAMM that I went to, and I saw Gambale play, and then I saw Brett play with TJ Helmrich, which was insane.
Oh, dude, yeah. Dude, when Brett got on the scene, I was so into him. I mean, I just loved everything about him, his little Australian way about doing things, and in fact, I remember his his REH thing came out, and I tried to learn some stuff, and like the way he would pick with the 4 fingers to do those arpeggios. I just couldn't get it, and it was funny because he did have some crossover ways of manipulating the fingerboard, kind of like what's his name, Alan Hines. Like I always love this one lick that Alan does. It's so hard for me. I need bigger glasses because I see the line here, and I can but. How the fuck does that go? There it is. I haven't played this lick in forever. But how he spiders around the fretboard into different... Yeah. That's it. Okay. Something like that, whatever. But the way he moves his fingers to take this finger to this fret, the first finger to move to the 7th fret, then move it up here, and he keeps spidering up. Well, Garcid used to do that. And I remember when I wasn't analyzing it enough that I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I just stopped learning this stuff. And then the arpeggio, I wasn't a straight arpeggio guy. Even Jason Becker, some of my favorite stuff isn't like the crazy sweepy arpeggio stuff. But what he does get into, and we'll talk about in a second, is some of those arpeggios in like air, because he does this. He sequences through chord progressions in the most amazing way, and he's just outlining chord tones, and that's what I liked. I wasn't a huge fan of it, the sweeps and then the taps and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's my little
spiel
thing.
That's your spiel.
So the 11 Blue Egyptians, I think the reason they call it that, or he called it that, and I don't know, is because there's the one part after that whole tone scale that goes up. They also get into this thing where it's...
Yeah.
Right? So the way that's transcribed is exactly that. It's on 3 different strings, and it's... And I don't like the sound. I hate the sound of the picking every note, but it sounds like they actually do it. But when I saw, there's only one live footage thing of Jason doing this with Marty, and it's all VHS. I mean, it's just all grand.
Is that them like sitting on the couch?
No,
That's not
and there
that
might
one?
be another
Okay.
one, but I mean they're jamming and stuff. But this is on live on stage or whatever. It's the only version I saw of him playing this 11 Blue Egyptians, and you can see at least where his hand is. And when he's doing that harmony part, he's doing some sort of lower version. It's almost like it's an octave lower. And
Okay.
Jason has huge hands. Have you ever seen him do Eruption with one hand and doing the
Yeah.
yo-yo? I mean, his hands are enormous. And so he does this, if it's an octave down, what he's actually doing instead, and it makes more sense, instead of doing 3 strings and doing one note on the G string, and going up to the B and G, he's really doing it here, just basically, it's like a Van Halen pattern. So it's the 14th fret, I can't even see, 14, 17, and 21. On both those strings. So it's the same. That's what it looks like he's doing down here, but it's such an angle and it's blurred. But then when he goes into the next lip, he pulls his hand up here. So I think this is what he's doing, which is just 14, 17, 19, then 14, 7, 9, but in this pattern. Right? It's the same exact thing, and then he just moves it down in half steps. But then he gets to hammer that on and pull it off, which I don't have the strength, but...
Yeah.
Right? And that, but it makes more sense if you know Jason Becker's style of playing, that's what he's doing. Again, so there's nothing wrong with playing it this way. And in fact, if I actually had to play it and played it on a better tone with this, it wasn't so scratchy and whatever, it would be okay to play picked.
Right.
But I don't know, dude, he's just genius. I get so much stuff out of him. And so this transcription thing, the air thing I wanted to talk about real quick. We'll just get this out of the way. We'll get all the lessony stuff. You're familiar with that song, right?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the whole intro thing I love, and I don't, the very beginning part, right, that whole keyboardy part that does that walkthrough or whatever, it's so brilliant when you see and you play what it is. It almost sounds like that Metallica,
Yes.
right? So, but this is, and the walk-up's just, right? It's just walking up certain notes, and then there's a melody note on top. Well, he does a lot of that. In the next part, it's just going between 2 chords, which is a D chord to an A,
Okay.
to a D, to an A. And the scales just get, this is, my point of this was how he makes things sound musical when they shouldn't
Right.
be. All he's doing is playing a scale. He's going up a scale, and then he does a little ornament on the top, and that's it. So it just goes.
Right. Right. The melody.
Right? I mean, that's all it is. How many of us just play simple things? We're doing blues licks, we're doing fast licks. How many times do we just play a scale?
Yeah.
Or just, you know what I mean? And if you hear that in the bass note, you have, it starts on a D, then it goes to the A, back to the D, and it targets the D note, back to the A, and it's targeting the 5th, then it goes back to the D, and then it runs up a D arpeggio to an A arpeggio to the A note. Then it gets into that classical. Right? That whole thing. But
Yeah.
how amazing is that, dude? It's just a scale. And it's so musical. I mean, even if you just play that part without any of the bass notes. Is that, I don't know. I think that's musical.
It is musical. Well, and I mean, like, I think the whole thing about listening to music and then kind of like, especially like when you take a guy like Jason Becker, it's really hard to take what he does and implement it into your playing. So you've got to kind of take maybe conceptually, you've got to kind of maybe grab that idea as opposed to the technique. Because, there's going to be a lot of guys that'll try, but I mean, there's not a lot of ways you can really implement. So the things that I would be like the takeaway would be maybe the melody, maybe like the half string, the quarter string bends, bending up, that kind of thing. That's kind of where, for me, I try to look at like what I can take from a player that I can use, and um, that's like technically, it's just for me that stuff is just I can't do that. I just can't do that.
Right.
No matter, like, I just know what, like, I can alternate pick. You know what I mean. I have better legato than alternate picking, but I just know my sweeping and all that stuff. I like at a certain point when I sit there and I go like, do I really need to learn a lick or a piece of music? Like, how
Right.
is that going to benefit me? And unless I figure out a way to implement it, like, that's why I want to learn something.
Right.
You
Well, even
know?
coming down, like I said, to the simple things of, like, I'm learning all these. A while ago, I learned that, and I think I may even talked about that one. What's that Steve Vai? The God, it's a. When he goes,
Yeah.
Knuckle Bones. That Knuckle Bones. It's off the Skyscraper album, right? And I love that solo where it goes. Uh, then it gets back into the right. Uh, how to? Man, I can't play for shit on these recordings, but that whole thing, like, it's got so many cool little ideas in it, and it's cool to learn the whole thing, but to actually break down just that little bend that I love that he does. He's doing that scraping the pick down thing, and not
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
that, he also right before that, to make it sound even cooler, which it's cool enough to just do. And get back into that low E note, he puts in this. I don't know if, I mean, it was obviously, he couldn't have planned this, but there's a little scrape of the pick, and when you slow it down, you hear it. So it's. Then he gets back into, and those little nuances that, we play everything or we try to play things clean, but to throw in those little noises, the little scrapes, dude, that goes a million miles to making
Sure.
something sound so cool. We got Jay Shackelford. Thanks, man, for the analysis. I'm horrible at playing on these things. I haven't played all day, and the excuses just go up and up and up. But yeah, Frank and Bali, he plays so many amazing licks. He's a weird one though, because I did a lesson on him a while ago and I posted it, and in one day he was my first copyright strike. He and his team told me either pull it down or pay him. They said they wanted $500 to keep it up. I was like, nope, I'm good. It's down. I did this whole long transcription of some of his licks, and I was like, can't do that, buddy.
Yeah.
But I see other people posting this stuff, and they're fine with it. Whatever.
Yeah. Does he? Yeah. They're tough, huh?
Yeah. Rhinoceros, am I wrong if saying you can hear TJ2 over Joel Joel
Hoekstra.
Hoekstra?
Joel
Oh,
Hoekstra, yeah.
tapping funniness. Oh, was Hoekstra on that?
No,
Oh,
not back
okay.
then.
Oh,
But maybe
okay.
similar in terms
Oh,
of
right. I
like,
see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he may have been at GIT when TJ was teaching there. Because
Oh, right.
I know like TJ was there when I was there, and I think Joel was there. I want to say maybe the year or so after I was there. So yeah, it's
Okay.
funny. Like,
Interesting.
um, there were so many. Like, you forget how many players just like went to GIT and you're like, or studied at GIT. Like the other day, I don't know if you like. I sent you his video, Johnny Monaco from Stephen Piercy's band. He was the
Okay.
guitar player for Enough's Enough. He went to
Oh, I did. Right.
GIT, and I had messaged him and I said, "Hey, did you know Kay Marioka?" And he got right back to me, which is like was pretty cool. And he was like, "Oh yeah," and he told me that um, Kay and Russ used to jam all the time together, which a lot of Russ's licks, and we talked about this last week,
Yeah.
sound like Kay's licks. So I sent him that second lick for the K lick that I sent him a video of me doing it. And he's like, "Are you sure that's not a Russ lick?" And I'm like, "No, that is on the K tape." He's like, "Wow," like, so it's funny. And then Johnny sent me a bunch of like Russ stuff, and I was like, "Oh, dude, thanks so much. I have all this," you
Right.
know. But and Johnny went to GIT like 2 years before I did, and like that dude's a monster player.
Yeah.
He covers like go on YouTube and like watch the Stephen Piercy videos. He covers Warren so good. He's such a great
Oh,
musician,
wow.
and like there's so many good players that like went to GIT, and a lot of guys like me, like we went and at least I kept playing. But then there's guys like I have friends that I went to GIT with that like I haven't played an instrument in 30
Yeah.
years, and
Dude,
that's kind of
there's a guy that graduated with Shane. By the way, hey everybody who's here. I appreciate you guys being here. We're going to go over some Jason Becker tab. I got a few more things I want to talk about, some arpeggio stuff that he just does brilliantly, and hopefully I can get my fingers to actually move properly. But I'm going to show you the tab and stuff, and there's some really cool ideas that maybe some people haven't explored there in his piece Air. It's arpeggios all over the place, but the way he outlines chords, and it's fun stuff to play, but it's also stuff that you can use in your own soloing. And I know Steve's been working on triads and stuff, and this kind of incorporates that, playing triads over soloing voices, whatever. But also, if anybody wants to, please click the like button. That really helps. I hate doing all this stuff. I hate the social media marketing.
Yeah, it's like it sucks doing that.
Yeah.
Like if you could share it, like if you have a Facebook page or something, just say we watch these two knuckleheads. They're old idiots. We like watching it. It just helps us. We're just trying, But
I understand the algorithmic game, and but it really does help. So comments, also put the comments. Come back to watch this. Put a comment on the video or whatever. All those things help. Really appreciate it. If you guys have anything that you want to hear in these podcasts, let us know. We'll talk about it. Blah 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 blah. I still haven't poured.
Or abuse Dave with like, hey, I know I'm too lazy to transcribe this. Have Dave do it for you.
Please. I need to transcribe more stuff.
He needs to transcribe more stuff.
So there was a guy at GIT. His name's Anders Almquist.
Okay.
And he might have been roommates with Shane. I know he was really good friends with him. And then when I moved back and I didn't know who he was until I moved back to New Jersey, was teaching in a music school, and what's our friend? Guitar player in New Jersey.
Who, your boy from Sussex?
Yeah. Why can't I remember his name?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Dude, I'm actually really good friends with him too.
I know. I mean, I'm not as good friends with him as you are, but
right.
I know who you're talking about. You did a video with him, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I did a couple of videos. He came out here, hung out. Anyway, so that's so weird. This is old time stuff.
It's old man. This is old man stuff happening.
He told me about Anders, and Anders lives in Pennsylvania. And dude, he is a Scott Henderson kind of fusiony jazz. Like, he's a monster. And he came, and then when I went back to school, Shane told me, oh yeah, I know Anders. He's, we were really good friends and blah, blah. And in fact, a few years earlier, he had him out to do a clinic at AIM. And Anders was really nervous. It was the first clinic he had ever done, I think. And Shane was on stage with them, and Anders just doing all this, like literally turns on the backing track, and he just, from go, he just starts shredding and doing all this crazy stuff.
Right,
It wasn't,
right.
And a lot of whammy bar stuff with harmonics, and it was insane. And you're just like, you're blown away, but you're like, it's not really musical. And then Shane, they go, well, let us jam real quick. And they do just a blues jam, just, something really, really simple. And Anders sounded better, still was doing some weird, bar stuff. But then I saw him do some licks jamming with Mike Lawler. That's his name.
Mike, I was literally on my
I know you were.
Literally on Instagram, and I'm like Mike Lawler band. I'm just sitting there going like,
yeah. And Mike Lawler's amazing, fantastic guitar player, dude. And so Anders played with Mike at one point, and I saw these short clips, and he pulled out this Henderson thing that immediately I had to transcribe. It wasn't Henderson, but it was Henderson-esque. And dude, amazing. But that's the thing, there's so many of these guys, and he doesn't really play. I think for 10 years he stopped playing. He started picking it up a little and jamming a little more. But monster guitar player.
Yeah. Well, you get to a point too, like, I mean, even with my own thing, like I was playing with that band in New York City. We had 2 records, and it's like 2001, and I'm like, I have a job working for the record company, and I'm like about to start dating my wife, and I'm sitting there going like, what am I doing? I'm 31 years old. Like, can I keep doing this? And I just put it down for like 8 years. I didn't play guitar for 8 years. And then, I felt like maybe I lost that time, but then I realized like I just needed to get away from it, because I played guitar every day for like, from when I was 15 until I was 31. And then I was like forced to make a living with it. And, you kind of like sometimes just burn out, and sometimes it's just better to walk away. And if you love it, you'll come back to it, but I have friends though, like on Facebook that I was, like I'm friends with, from GIT, and like one guy was a killer drummer, and he's like, yeah, dude, he goes, I haven't played drums since like 1995, and I'm like, oh, it's such a shame, man. You could have guy could have had it all, you know what I mean? But like, it's hard, man. When you're a musician, it's like playing is one thing, doing is a whole other thing. I mean, getting out and playing gigs and hustling, and that's why it's like you see guys, and like I hate when people sit there and go, oh, like that guy's not a good guitar player. It's like, well, you know what? He's got the stones to get up and like make phone calls, hustle, get gigs, do whatever it takes, man. That's the hard part. Playing the guitar is the easy part, so like comparatively, like when you see guys in bands, like I just that always pisses me off, because you see guys in like some keyboard warrior be like, yeah, that guy's not a good guitar player, and I'm like,
right,
what are you talking about? Like, do you realize like that guy gets on like 30 flights, 50 flights a year, plays on the weekends, and then he comes home and he's like teaching guitar to kids, and he's doing that just to get by. You know
the
what
whole
I mean?
Judging guitar players is funny too, because I get caught up in it too. Like I'll see something, I'll be like, nah. There was something I watched the other day that I can't even remember what it was. Somebody was showing some arpeggio stuff, they were jamming. Yeah, and I don't want to say who it is. So it's somebody who's got a YouTube channel that's doing pretty well. And we've talked about him. I'll tell you who. But he was, and it was literally, it was kind of like these chord voicing kind of things, where just opening with a spacey kind of delay and reverbs.
Okay.
But it just kept going back and forth with that, and it sounded cool, spacey or whatever, but all that was going on literally was just moving the same shape around, which is fine. I mean, the Van Halen tune that won, right? I mean, it is just really moving a chord shape around or whatever. But when you start doing that for like 4 minutes, and there's real no sense of a melody note or a bass movement or something, it's just those padded things. I just couldn't watch. I was like, okay, I had enough. And then I fast forward to just see what it was or whatever. And it's like understanding that these things, there's so much simplicity in guitar stuff, and there's then the complex stuff. But anything good, whether it's complex or simple, tends to have a grounding in melody, movement, bass lines, something repetitive, you know, licks kind of happening. I mean, that's Stevie Ray Vaughan, B.B. King. I mean, right? His simplicity of just
Yeah.
Right, those are the same little notes or whatever, but he's phrasing, and then he'll repeat. He'll go. Right, now this was the theme, right? But he did it in different, or you do it in different. Right, but you have something that's repeating a little.
When you build a theme, the way that I've always kind of done it has been like you do something similar, two lines of like a melody, like one, you go around once, you go around a second time, and then maybe you do your third one, and then you change maybe like a note or two at the end.
Sure.
Maybe you go up like a whole step, you know, something, you know, like that's different from the first two sets of the melody, and then the fourth is when you kind of transition into the next part. But the thing about like playing music, at the very crux of it is you're communicating who you are inherently through your instrument. And I sound old, but you know, when I watch a lot of stuff, I sit there and I go like, you know, and that's what they said, like, you know, when you were watching Jason Becker and Yngwie, you know, like you know, so I don't want to like clown on too much stuff, but at the end of the day, if I'm going to watch somebody teach on YouTube, I've got to get something out of it that's going to move me. And there's a lot of guys like, I'm so happy Rick Graham is back. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Honestly, I love his stuff and the way he teaches.
So happy Rick Graham is back. Like, I'm just so, like, that guy just, you know, like brings me joy. And I feel like he's a brother from another mother. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
Everything that guy, his touch is great. His picking is great, but he doesn't need to rip. He could just play like two notes. It's freaking amazing. So,
and he's got that tone that there's something about that. I know he uses like axe effects and he uses things like that. But he's got like that punchy kind of tone. That not necessarily something that I would go for really.
Yeah.
But in his style of play, man, it sounds so good. So good.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's do your wrap up.
Let me wrap up the tab stuff and we'll get into the 5 thing. So the other really cool thing that Jason does at one point of the song Air, right? There's so many little sections. And another scale kind of section is he goes into this thing where it's literally just a scale going up. Then he gets into then he goes right? And it's all just arpeggios, right? That sound like he's going through all these arpeggios, and you're like, dude, that's a lot. But if you break it down and see what's actually happening, this scale that he goes up, and it actually goes up a scale, then it comes down the scale, then it goes up the scale and down the scale and all that, whatever. But if you're just following just the up part, he's going over this D major chord. Then he comes down, the bass goes down to this, then it goes down to this. It's going D to basically A major with the third in the bass. then go into B minor. So when you take the D scale over, it's just D major scale. Then it goes to the A, or with the B in the with the C sharp in the bass. Then the B minor. Then it gets into all those arpeggios. Then it's just all scale stuff, right? But the cool thing, again, how simple is that? Just scales going up. And there's target notes that he's landing on, everything. Simplicity of something that makes it musical with some chords going on in the background. And then the cool thing, again, when he gets into especially these arpeggios, all that is doing this A major arpeggio with a starting on the 6th. Then he does a D major arpeggio. So it's going from A major to D. So you have, so that's just this part, 12, 12 on the A string, D string, and then 11 on the G string, and then you're pulling the 12th fret to the 11. So you literally have that D major shape. So you have, then he goes back to an A shape because it's over an A chord, but now he's starting on the root up here, and again throwing in that 6th interval. So instead of going just root, 5th, 3rd, he's going root, 6, 5, 3rd. So it's, then he goes back to D, but up here, and he's using that note, which is the major 6th first, back down to the triad. That's just a D major triad. So you have, right? Then he goes to this D major again. So it's just bouncing off triads that are literally those chords, and you're just doing different inversions of it. And if you notice, he's just climbing up, right? The whole thing is going up, 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 up. Then he comes down. Right? All that silliness or whatever. But what I found fascinating about that, again, simplicity. There is nothing more than simple arpeggios, and it's not like he's doing this arpeggio over this chord. It's just literally, if it's an A major chord, he finds notes in the A major chord, maybe adds a 6th interval or a 9th interval, and it's beautiful. I mean, it travels, right? As you're going up, you're walking upstairs, but in a musical way. That's not crazy licks. I just found that so fascinating, dude.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful, like, it just builds up. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yep. So that's my Jason Becker stuff. I hope you guys appreciate it. I was going to show you tab, but I don't even need to. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you get that, if anybody is interested in learning something, and I mean, it's got to be 20 pages, I think, and it's an 8-minute, 9-minute tune. It starts out with the scale stuff, then it keyboard stuff, scale stuff into a classical, and that classical piece is brilliant. It's basically a melody on top, bass notes, and it's just moving. And then it gets into the typical, you know, he's going. This whole thing, scale stuff, and then it gets into more arpeggios. But each section, and then he has harmony going on underneath it, and then they separate, and one goes up and one goes down, and they start crossing over in the middle, and the top one goes down, and they cross in the middle, and then they get to this pivot note thing where they're doing two separate things, and it's just, there's so much going on in this composition that it is a masterclass, 1 in composition, 2 in licks, and every little part, just that little arpeggio thing, I started taking that with, I was doing Donna Lee, and I was doing that little arpeggio study where each chord I just start going up in the melody note
Right.
with arpeggios through the chord changes. And it's hard as shit. It's really not easy. The fact that he not only can compose all this, but actually, I mean, I've never actually seen him play the whole thing, funny enough. But how do you play a 9-minute song with that much intricacy going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just baffles me. So we have a couple of comments from Jay Sack before we move into the next thing. And he wrote, a real good teacher that's online is True Fire Courses is Andy Alador. Andy Alador's a great does all the great transcriptions. He's like the Guitar School magazine. He did Guitar World. He's a great teacher. I believe he's a New York guy and great player. Yeah, definitely another one. And sounds like something Tim Miller would play. So Tim Miller does like the 2-1-3 or the 2-1-2 vibrato, like the arpeggios and stuff like that. That's kind of his thing, right?
I don't know. You know what? I know I've watched a bunch of Tim Miller stuff, but because I think he's an LA guy. I think he plays out here.
Okay.
I forget what band he plays with, and maybe I'm wrong with saying this, but I could swear. And I've seen some of his stuff, and I like him. I'm just not very.
He's another True Fire guy, so that's how I know him.
Okay.
But.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so so that's my Jason Becker spiel. So let's get to this real quick. The if we can make it real quick, the top 5 list that we got this week, which is top 5 '80s guitar players. And for me, I'm going into this with thinking about. Let me turn this guitar thing off for a second. For me, I'm thinking about it as guys that were huge influence in my life back in the '80s. Got me so. Like dialed in, interested, and they're guys that I still constantly go to now. So even though they were in the '80s, they've just they didn't quite make my top. Well, one of them did actually. They didn't make my top 5 list, but they were almost as influential.
Yeah, and so for me, the caveat was I didn't want to have anybody on my all-time list on this list because. That like I wanted to try to expand upon that. Obviously, like to me, Paul Gilbert would be on my all-time '80s list. He's a complete '80s guy. And happy birthday, Paul! Today was his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Paul! But
so
he did he make your top 5 list last week?
Last week, yeah, he was my number 5. He's my number 5 guy. But for me, this list was basically just 5 guys that I still listen to in one way or the other, and I still steal a lot of their licks, and they're still influences on me. And it was kind of from the beginning to now, and that's kind of how I looked at this. This was kind of hard, but then it was kind of easy because I just knew.
So let me get 2 things out of the way. One, the Paul Gilbert thing. Paul is he is in my top 5 list of everything, but he ends up getting pushed out the more I think of those top 5. So he didn't make my top 5, even though he easily could have.
Right.
He's not making this list, even though he was on the edge of it. He should have been, but as I put all these people, so I know, and it's so sad because
he's the one that wants to be with you.
I know, and I love that solo actually. That's the one of the songs that got me playing acoustic guitar more because I just love that little poppy thing on the E string and this. He's just so classy. He is one of my favorite guitar players. But this list there were certain people that I ended up going alphabetically and going, okay, A, B, okay,
right,
and trying to remember. I'm like, man, there are more players than. And then I started to come. 2 I grabbed that I can't believe I wouldn't have grabbed, but they were so influential. And I also wanted to make. I didn't want to have anybody from the top 5 list, but I had to have one. So let me just start and get him out of the way. So we don't have to talk a ton about him because we just did. Jason Becker. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, again, 80s stuff, he changed everything I thought about when I heard about him. Because I heard the cacophony and I wasn't hugely into it. Like it was just too much for me, right? It wasn't enough melodic stuff. And then when he got into the atonal, and he was even that one scale of 11 Blue Egyptians, it's a harmonic double major scale, and I'm just, I'm like, I mean, it sounds amazing, but I can't how do I use that in blues? You know, I was because as a beginner guitar player, I don't know how to play that kind of stuff. So if I can't use it in stuff I know, I'm never going to use it unless I play a cover of his 11 Blue.
And it's hard to listen to when you're starting out.
Yes, yes. Your ear is not expanded enough.
You know, you don't start off like sipping like a 35-year-old Balvenie. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have to get hammered on Jack Daniels first.
So I have so many things, literally. I mean, I'm trying to squeeze all this stuff in. Let me start with, because I am dying of thirst right now, and I didn't do my promo.
Yeah, so I know you didn't do your thing. So we're really working backwards.
We really are. Okay, so this week, if anybody else is an alcoholic, I'm not an alcoholic. You're an alcoholic. That's what's the name of the podcast now. And this is Jack Daniels. This is the Sinatra
dude
version.
Did we not plan that? Holy crap.
Yes, totally. I mean, this is all working out. So this comes in a little case. You open it up, it's got the bottle. It's typical Jack Daniels, but it's got a book and whatever, a Frank Sinatra book, and it has some lyrics to his songs and pictures and stuff. And the cool thing about this is, and I'll make this quick because I'm sure not everybody cares about the liquor unless you're Michael Anthony, and he would have this Jack Daniels guitar out. This is cool because Sinatra was famous for Jack Daniels being his drink. He drank 2 fingers. I think he had it on 2 rocks. I think that's what he did. And when he moved to Vegas, he had this stuff actually shipped in. Like he would in his room. It was always there. This is if you like the regular Jack Daniels, this is kind of special. It's not. I think it's $100 or so. I think it's like $170 for the thing. It only comes out at certain times, and whenever. Like my store, the first I heard of it, my brother at Christmas, he literally said, "Oh, you got to try this." And I'm like, I'm not a huge Jack Daniels guy, but I really fell in love with this. And it is, when it comes out in your store, if there's like 12 or 20 bottles, say there's 20 bottles, within the next day there's only 5 left. And then, it goes quick. And then they don't get it in again for another 7-8 months. And it was usually, I think my brother pays $170. I think I got it at Bevmo here. I don't know why, but for like 110 or something like that. So anyway, I'm going to pour myself a drink. I love this stuff. And then, my Jason Becker spiel is up at the moment. So you guys got enough of Jason. And that's about 2 fingers.
I'll knock one off from last week, because I didn't have him on my list, and he needs to be on a list, and that's Eddie Van Halen.
Okay. So he made this list. Nice.
He, for me, when I first heard Eddie Van Halen, and I won't go that back into it, but Eddie Van Halen for me is more of an inspiration than an influence. And without having, for me, the first time I had heard Eddie Van Halen was the Fair Warning record. I was like super young, and I was just like, wow, what is this? And so that kind of got me juiced up. There's other players, but it always, for the first couple of years, especially the 1984 record, because I was of that age. I was 14 at that point, or 13, and that record to me was like everything. I didn't really play at that point, but I was just like, I have to learn how to play. So yeah, for me, Eddie Van Halen, he's gonna be my number 5 guy. Definitely top 80s guy. It should be in everybody's list if you're putting an 80s list together. But again, for me, not an influence, but an inspiration. So that's my number 5 guy.
Okay. And he made my list as one of the top 5 last week. Don't have to say much about it. It's a huge influence in so many different ways, musically, guitar-wise, just as a human being, and how fun. I mean, one of the biggest thing that people don't talk about is, dude, he had fun on stage. He wasn't trying to be the poser dude or be the slick guy or what. I mean, I love the Steve Vai, being the total rock star, right? Wearing the right clothes, having the greasy hair, doing the evil
good
look
moves,
and the scream and all the slick moves. Dude, brilliant for what he does. But Van Halen was jumping, fun, laughing, smiling, spinning around and everything.
There was a joy.
Yes.
There was a joy.
Yep.
And
he was amazing while he was doing all that.
And it was contagious, I mean, that's something, like when you see people that play and they just play and it's like, all right, but when they have that aura about them and it just bursts out like that energy, that excitement, and man, you just want to sip on that like whole vibe, you know.
That's why Paul Gilbert, again, just fun, dude. Going to his clinic, I don't care if you don't really want to learn that stuff or what. Just sitting and watching him, be a musical encyclopedia of Beatles tunes.
Yeah, it's just an inspiration, and I think like there's not a lot of that if you don't like look for it. And so that's the thing. You want to have that guitar inspiration, people that excite you and make you want to go pick up a guitar, and that's Eddie Van Halen for me. So that's our number fives, and you know, I mean, in no order, but that's our fifth one. So let's go to your next one.
All right, so my next one is going. I'll make it an easy one. Again, Steve Vai. I mean, I have learned, especially off of the David Lee Roth stuff, his Flexible album early on at music school. I dove head first into that. There was one slower tune that he did, Call It Sleep, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my performance tunes for my graduation. It just had so many cool bends and weird things going on, and it was awesome. So that, and then I got into Frank Zappa a little bit, but it was more his what was that one? What was his first real solo album? The Fire.
There was first was Flexible, and then the one with For
the Love of God and all that.
For the Love of God, yeah. The audience is listening.
Audience is listening. I forget what that was called. Moment. But that was huge. I mean, just hearing all those compositions and hearing, you know, what he does with Ballerina and all the effects and all that. But then, and it was storytelling. There was stuff going on. It was awesome. And then, of course, For the Love of God, and the way that composition is so, when he gets into some of those fast licks and it just builds and builds. And again, there's another thing where I could learn a small lick and use it. I could use this one arpeggio thing that he does. He does these arpeggios a lot of times where he'll sweep up. Instead of doing the full arpeggio, he's just doing the fifth intervals. So he's just going down one note on each string.
A lot of his licks in the good way. He repeats a lot of his stuff, and he slides a lot. Like that's what I've taken off.
He goes from here to there, back up here, down a half a step, up here. But he gets this slick kind of movement kind of thing, greasy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, he's not someone, again, the Eat 'Em and Smile album, three things. Eat 'Em and Smile, Whitesnake. When he got on that Whitesnake tour, dude, I couldn't be happier. I mean, I went to that concert twice in New Jersey, one in New York State, Middletown at the racetrack, and then I went to the in New Jersey, Brendan Byrne maybe or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, just epic. And that show with the lights, and Steve was perfect for that album. And all those solos, the compositions of all that and everything, dude, that was, he was, between the, like I said, the Eat 'Em and Smile, the Skyscraper album, that was a little, there were like 4 or 5 really Hina and little hidden gems in there that people don't talk about. One of my favorite riffs and is, I wish I knew what is this one. I remember, it might have been a GIT. It was either GIT or AIM transcription of it. It was in a curriculum thing, and I thought it was but it was that. I'll turn this on. I love that thing. Oh, by the way, 11 Blue Egyptians. The reason why I think they call it is because this is 11 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the only thing I could imagine is why it's called that. Yeah. But that right. Too much distortion. Right, the slides are from here. That's it. I don't know. Just dun, 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 dun. What is the name of that song? Do you know what it is?
No, I don't know that
Yeah.
one.
It's got a a real swing feel to it. But again, there's perfect to the conversation. Nobody knows that song. Nobody plays that song. It is such a cool riff. And I remember the first time I heard it was Shane. Not that I heard it, but it dismissed it like everybody else because there's so many other cool tunes in there. But then I remember Shane was warming up, turning on his amp, and he started playing that. And I go, dude, what is that? He goes, oh, that's in the curriculum next week, I think. And it was, we had a Steve Vai package we were doing that week. And I forget the name of that song. It's so good. But anyway, that's my Steve Vai thing. He's just brilliant.
I love Steve Vai. Yeah, he's another guy. He didn't make my list, but that's just because I went with. But I mean, he would be like the next guy up. But
right.
I love Vai, especially. What I love about Vai is kind of just what I said. Like a lot of his licks are very repetitive in a very good, tasty way. Like and the slides, the whole thing with Vai is just like you could play a Vai lick and you're like, oh, that's how you do it, and it's so simple, but it's just nailing the nuance of it. But no, I love Steve Vai, and he's Jack Butler. I mean, how can you go wrong? So, my next guy is Yngwie.
Whoa,
we haven't touched Yngwie yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick, Two Fools a Minute. That's what it was called.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't. Okay. Is that what record was that on?
Flexible.
Was that a David Lee?
No, I mean,
is that a Roth
Skyscraper?
Tune?
Yep.
Okay.
The Skyscraper album.
Okay, I had that, but I never listened to that.
Okay, you got to go back and listen to it. There's 2 or 3. The Knucklebones is amazing.
Knucklebones, I know. Yeah. That. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the Yngwie, that surprises me. That surprises me from you.
Well, I'll tell you why. I mean, Yngwie's vibrato is insane.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I take little pieces of things that I can learn. When I first started playing and the Odyssey record came out with Joe Lynn Turner, there was that Heaven Tonight song.
Yep.
And there was like this little run in between like the chorus and the verse, and it's just and like right in between. And I remember just getting my metronome and running up the scale, and I literally did that. And then I was just like, I went out and I got all the the first record, and I was like far beneath the sun. And I'm like, and like I started learning that, and then I started not necessarily learning the whole song. I was just trying to take pieces for me to kind of steal and make part of my playing. And so, long story long, I'm not a huge Yngwie fan past Odyssey, really. Like that's kind of where I get off, and that for me, like Yngwie's the perfect 80s guy because I love the Alcatraz stuff that he's on. And also that's like one of my favorite records. I love Graham Bonnet. So yeah, for me, like that was the perfect player for the 80s and the time. But to me, like everyone's like, oh, Yngwie's got no soul and I'm like, no. Have you ever heard him play like his blues solo on the live Yngwie record? Like with that, like his feel is so good, man. And like,
when he slides into those notes and bends them, and the tone is just so perfect for that.
And he's like got this. His vibrato is so good, and he's like got like at times he almost has like a Holsworth kind of feel to like his playing, and like, he if he wasn't so wound into like the whole harmonic minor and like just played more pentatonic stuff. I mean, like I know he's into the whole more is more thing, and that's cool. But what I like about Yngwie isn't the burning stuff. Yeah, I like it, but for me, it's his vibrato, like Deja Vu, like that Odyssey record is probably my pinnacle.
Yep.
And then Trilogy. I love Yngwie. So
Yep.
yeah, that's it. So let's keep moving on.
Yeah.
We're on to our third guy.
So real quick with that Yngwie stuff is I remember learning that whole. Is it not?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. That's the beginning of the Trilogy. But that arpeggio thing, I didn't know. I didn't see any videos. I didn't know how it was, and I always thought it was. Right, and I was doing it here on 3 strings. Right, but I didn't realize he does it on 2 strings, which is the 1 note on the B string, and then he picks up like that. Right, so he has. Let me see. Man, I'm terrible at guitar. And that I can never get that phrase right. But even these picked notes, I have to have it compressed a certain way because otherwise I hear too much. I mean, that's what he's doing. It's down, down, up. Whatever. And then this run, when he does that crossover, he's doing 15, 17, 18 on the B string, then 16, 17, 19. And up to that note. It's such a beautiful run, but it's really hard to get that fast. And those little sweeps, I was better at doing it with the 3 strings because I was doing down on the 14, then 13 and 12 on the G, B, and E string. And I'd always do this thing. I had this one friend that hated the way I played, which I agreed with him. But but I used to do this thing where I'd sweep up, down, down, down. But on that last note, I'd pluck with my finger, and I'd also pick at the same time. So you kind of get this weird double note. Right, you're getting that pick. So I'd get, but I can get it a lot cleaner than I could with the picking thing. I just couldn't get that down, down, up, down, down. I feel like I'm attacking the strings so hard. And I know he's got just this loose with the tiny Jazz 3 tip pick, and he just barely touches, but he has so much gain, you don't realize that that it makes it so much easier.
He's definitely tone dependent, you can tell.
Yes, for sure. Whereas again, the Jason Becker thing, dude, some of the stuff that I love that people don't listen to or hear is his clean tone stuff. If anybody's interested in that, go to YouTube, find Marty Friedman and Jason Becker jamming together, and you'll just see them jamming on clean tones. And it's glorious, dude. It is. I mean, that shows you how masterful of a guitar player he is, because both of them can play beautiful music and still shred on that.
Yeah, but I'm always impressed when a guy is like not tone dependent, because that's what I would long to be, is just to not have to rely on it. But I'm working on it. But yeah, no, I'm awesome. Like, I love watching guys just play clean.
Yeah. Real quick, Jay Shackelford, his list. He's got his list. It's you can tell. I can tell. I exactly know the player you are right now. Roy Buchanan, Danny Gatton, Rory Gallagher, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Johnny Winter, with an honorable mention of Albert Collins and another honorable mention of Ronnie Earl.
Those are all killer players.
Amazing. And again, funny enough, none of those would make my list. All of them I completely respect. I'm not a Roy Buchanan.
I have like a bunch of Roy Buchanan.
Really?
Vinyl, man. Oh yeah, dude. I started getting into Roy Buchanan like a while ago. Oh my gosh. I have like about 5 or 6 of his records.
Really? You're gonna have to turn me on to some of that.
Yeah.
Jay Shackelford, let me know, because Tell me what to listen to, because I don't know. Even and again, in that whole list, Danny Gatton, I've a ton of. I'm not a huge country guy. I do get into some of the flat picking stuff. I saw Andy Woods put up a thing with a new acoustic guitar that he's using. And I love that stuff. It's amazing. It's just not my thing. Rory Gallagher, same thing. Stevie Ray, I was a huge fan of. In fact, his version of Little Wings is the one I play as opposed to Jimi Hendrix. Like, I just love his arrangement of that. Johnny Winter, again, not a big Albert Collins. All of them. Listen to, don't study much of them. But turn me on to anything that you...
No, I mean, like, you see, that's the thing. It's like when I got my turntable and I'd go to the flea market and people would be like selling stuff and it's like $1 vinyl. And I'm sitting there going like, it could be on YouTube, but I would never listen to it. But if I buy it for $1, I'm going to go, put it on my turntable.
Right.
I'm like, God, like, why did I ignore this? So yeah, man, there's especially like Roy Buchanan. And to me, I think Danny Gatton, like I don't know much of his stuff. I know 88 Elmira Street. I know like that's kind of like he does a really cool version of the Simpsons.
Yes,
covers.
yes. Yeah.
But to me, like Roy Buchanan was just, man, that guy's a monster. And like I put Rory in with Stevie Ray, blues player ish. Definitely awesome.
So and Stevie, Danny Gatton had a REH video or a Hot Licks video. He had one of those. It might have been the Hot Licks stuff.
I think it was Hot Licks. Yeah. I think his was Hot Licks. Yeah.
And I remember that was my introduction to him. And then I was like, well, of course we did a classical or a country class for 1 quarter or whatever at AIM, and he was one of the main guys in there. Stellar stuff.
I'm not a country player in any
not at all
stretch of the imagination. I mean, it's just I can't, but I don't really consider him a country player. I mean, I guess he would be.
Technique wise, I would say he does a lot of those licks, the rolling banjo kind of ideas. So listen, we are an hour and a half into this. We'll probably do this a little bit longer. We still have
three more to go.
Three more to go on our list of top 5 80s guys. We're going to rush through that. Also, again, anybody who wants, please click the like button, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff, share this stuff. We really want to have more conversation. And please let us know what you want to hear us talk about, because we have topics galore, but we love interacting with you guys and seeing it. So let's get to, you want to throw out your third?
Did I go or did you go?
Oh, maybe I went. Yeah. Okay, so my third. All 3 of these, I don't think you're going to guess at all. And we'll go with the simplest one, which we've talked about before, Vito Bratta.
Okay.
He makes my list because he changed a lot for me when I heard it, because it was so Van Halen-esque. And at that point, I was already in the Van Halen camp, and then I was moving into more like the Rat Warren DeMartini, some of the Yngwie stuff. I was moving more into the Racer X-y kind of things or whatever. And then all of a sudden, these guys popped onto the scene, and I was like, whoa, wait a second. This is Van Halen, but not Van Halen. And there were other bands that kind of had some flavors of Van Halen, but they sometimes it sounded a little too Van Halen. Like most people that tap, it sounds Van Halen-esque for the most part, or it sounds Paul. I think the most unique tappers are Paul Gilbert. He's got those double tapping that he does with Billy Sheehan. And he's got that weird way. He's got also this more scalular kind of thing where he's going up and up and up. Steve Vai has very unique tapping where he's doing these like fifth intervals and he's sliding down, then he's tapping down here, holding notes down here.
Right.
But Vito Bratta had a very Van Halen-esque way of doing it, a little more arpeggio oriented and a little more, I wouldn't say melodic in just but everything that surrounded all those ideas were super melodic arpeggio things and following chords.
Right.
So, but then the rhythms too were so good. The rhythms were just fantastic, dude. Endgame, off the Endgame album, Radar Love, when he did that cover, I was like, whoa, wait, what? I've heard this song before, but not like this.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the solo to Wait, The solo, there was another solo, the one that I was showing last week that I couldn't get that tap harmonic or whatever.
Right.
There's that one other solo I'll do real quick, and I'm gonna butcher because that's all I do here is butcher shit.
You just butcher shit.
Sorry about it.
You'd be like, that's that guy that butchers solos.
But there's that one that goes. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, Little Fighter.
That's it. Yeah. I like it. And even there, he's tapping that, and I don't do that. And then he goes to that cool. And there, I have to have 24 frets to do that. But that cool little. It's all B minor, B arpeggio, right? But the way he gets that to double stop together, he gets that to ring. I don't know, whatever. But the dude, I am terrible at playing. But that again, all arpeggio stuff. It's so fantastic. And by the way, I haven't played that solo in about probably a year. So the fact that I even remembered what the notes were, or some of them, the fact that he does all those arpeggio things, and then he does melody stuff, then he does pivot note stuff, then he does some tapping stuff. I mean, it's a journey through different flavors, but it's all musical and so much fun to play, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's up there. And again, the shame is that he's just one of those, again, off the scene. People say he's got his own family business that he runs or whatever, and he doesn't play much, or
no idea.
He's never been an interview guy. I think there was the one interview in Guitar for the Practicing Musician, and I don't think
he did I think he did an Eddie Trunk interview like maybe 10 or so years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, look, God bless, man. You know, the guy wants to do what he wants to do, but I just wanted to say welcome to V2 Roth. He just commented Steve Lynch from Autograph. Welcome. Thanks for watching.
Yes.
Great tapper. I actually have a Steve Lynch story.
Let's hear it.
Real quick. So when I went to GIT, this is really an interesting story. You remember the show Fame? From like the early, okay. So the building that I lived in was on Hollywood Boulevard. And one of the guys, and I couldn't tell you who he was, but he was on the TV show Fame. He was kind of like the rock guy on Fame. And he lived on my floor, and he was a singer. And he was in a band at the time with Steve Lynch. And they were putting this band together, and it never took off. But the guy, like if you watch Fame, he's like real good looking, kind of tan, like, you know, white teeth kind of guy, nicest guy in the world. But anyway, I saw Steve Lynch play at the National Guitar Workshop in Connecticut, do a clinic, and he's another solid, like another guy. I mean, he's right out of, you know, he's like an OG with that. I mean, he came right out of like the whole Joe Diorio, Howard Roberts kind of like old school GIT like program. So,
and he had an REH video out.
He did.
And I remember Jennifer Batten, after she got all, she was getting interviewed a lot with the Michael Jackson stuff, her tour that she did with that. And I remember her mentioning that she learned a ton from, and it would make sense, all the tapping, you know, that she does. Yeah, Steve Lynch is a monster.
I like Steve Lynch. That Autograph record was fantastic. Yeah. Even though that band completely turned into a mess. Like where
how many of those are there, right?
And well, they had, where I guess the story was, there was Steve Lynch, and then I want to say it was the bass player had kept the band going. The bass player was running the band. Steve Lynch left because I guess he was having really bad, hand issues. and then the bass player died. So the band was at that point, there was no original members left in Autograph. So basically what happens is that the guys that are in this Autograph, what they're calling Autograph, are going out and playing all the same fairs and event, like
Right.
as you would see, like Faster Pussycat and Trickster and all these type of bands. And because they have the name, they're getting on the bill, but there's nobody in Autograph that was actually on those records. So I guess Steve Lynch got a lawyer and sued them, and like had to literally sue the band that he was in to get them to stop. So he got the control of the band. But it's crazy, man. The music industry is nuts. And so thanks for the comment and thanks for contributing. Hopefully we'll see more. And if you have more feedback, man, put them up there.
And real quick, Jay Shackelford, the end of the movie Departed, he said the song is credits is Roy Buchanan. So I'm gonna
I gotta go watch.
Yeah, I know that's the I thought I knew what I was doing Friday night. I'm going out to play tennis after this, and I'm like, okay, well I'll come home and I'll have myself another Jack Daniels and watch that movie. Yeah, okay, let's get back to the list. I had something, but were you on yours? We said Vito Bratta. What was yours? Did you
go? So okay. No, I didn't go yet. Mine is it's funny because these three guys for me were like they're like all 1A. You know what I mean? Like they're all
my whole list is. Yeah, for sure.
This is the 1A, these three. It's Jake. I mean, I love Jake. To me,
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, I love Jake Gyllenhaal. He's a very handsome guy, great actor, dreamy. So to me, Jakey Lee was, and I don't care if I get hate for it. I'll take the hate. I'll just revel in the hate.
Let me put you on mute.
I love Jake more than I like Randy.
All right.
I do.
Thank you for joining us on the podcast. Appreciate it.
To me, just Jake, there was something more relatable to Jake. His tone was better. I just liked the two records that he did with Ozzy. And then to me, the Badlands records.
Oh my God.
My God. I just love those two Badlands records. There's three, but the two that, were actually on Atlantic. His playing was just so ferocious. His attack was ferocious. His rhythm was insane. That's the thing I like about Jake more than his lead playing is his rhythm playing. Yeah. There's so many nuances. I just learned over the summer. I learned a bunch of stuff off of the first Badlands record, and I don't think I learned a single solo. It was all the rhythm playing. And my God, man, his rhythm playing was just so difficult to emulate, and his feel, playing with a metronome and then trying to play with the record. Jake definitely now seems to be getting the love that he deserves, because for a long time he was kind of himself said that he thought he was an afterthought in the world. And I just am so glad that he's kind of resurfaced, and he's dealing with hand issues as well. But much love for Jake.
And there, it's funny that you mentioned the hand thing. So, man, I tell you, this is getting old. Listen, I told somebody that there should be, just like everybody should be required, here in America at least, probably everywhere else too, to take a driver's test after you're 50. Every 10 years. Every 10 years, you should have to take a full driver's test. Just because maybe you think you see well, but you're blurred out there and you're not seeing what you're supposed to see. And it's not just vision stuff, it's reaction time. And I live in, in Los Angeles, in the Hollywood area, Sherman Oaks, all that kind of stuff. And it's literally, there's car accidents every street, which causes almost all the traffic that we have. I mean, literally every 50 feet you go, there's an alert. But not just that. We should all be taught how to live the next generation. You go to college to learn how to be a better business person in your 30s, 20s, right? Yeah. And high school's preparing you for college, right? Nothing teaches you how to be 50, 60, 70 years old. Right. All these things, dude, taking medication. I get AARP things in the mail now. I mean, I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to get them. And I'm like, do I even is this something I sign up for? Do I get benefits? What is it? I don't even, nobody teaches. And I tell my dad this the other day. I go through the whole thing. I go, Dad, nobody teaches you this. We should have a class once a year, mandatory by the government, free class to teach you what to expect in your 50s. Now what to expect in your 60s. So retirement, all these kind of things. And I'm telling my dad all this stuff, and my dad, I love my dad. He's awesome. He's so funny, and he goes, yeah. Just got to learn it on your own. I'm like, thanks for that advice. Appreciate it.
That's good. Thanks, Dad. Yeah,
I appreciate you helping me out on this end.
Yeah, no, but there's no real like owner's manual for getting old, man.
No, that shaking thing that you said. There was a guitar player that I watched. I was watching him show some ideas or whatever, and I forget who it is. But I literally saw that he was resting his hand here, and it was just twitching a little. Yeah. And then when he was playing this hand, it was fine. He played pretty well. But I did. The reason why I picked up on this is because his playing was a little, not slower than usual, but it was almost like my playing. Like it looks like I probably have something. But there's you pick up on, hey, he's not playing like he usually does. Yeah. And then when they're resting and talking and you start seeing this just overall twitching constantly happen, you're like, man, this getting old thing sucks.
Yeah. Jay Shackelford goes, when you're an aging guitar player, you learn to love the jazz chord melody, a slower pace. It's true, man. Like my whole life now is just like learning triads and different inversions and I sit there. But
well, even all the stuff I was playing, if I just slowed, the reason why I play it so fast, and I'm just a shitty guitar player, but part of the reason why I mess up all the time is because I'm trying to do it fast. Because I don't think anybody really cares about it. I'm just trying to explain an example while using an example. So I'm just doing it at faster tempo than it generally is. Right. Or it's something that I don't really have up to tempo, and I'm trying to just do it to show you. But when you slow it down, my problem is when I slow it down, it sounds cleaner and better or whatever. But I can't play it at the slower tempo because that's not really the speed that I've practiced. So whatever. Anyway, good talk.
Anyway, yeah. So Jake, for me, just Killer Giants is all I need to say. I mean, just good stuff. Yeah. But let's get on to your number 3 guy.
Yeah.
Here.
So and the Jake thing. Real quick. The Jake thing too is. I'm sorry. We're hour 40. Tell me when you got to go to bed, and I'll cut it off. The Jake stuff. I was never a huge fan, but I did always. He looks so rock and roll. And I understand what you say about the Randy verse, people do all that stuff, which is just silly, but I understand it. And the reason why I think some people like Jake a little more than Randy in that scenario is Jake or Randy he had more classical arrangement understanding in most of his songs and compositions. So they were a little more composed as opposed to rock things. And even his solos were very arranged in ways that so many cool licks, but there was a lot of classical perfection to it, as opposed to Jake with the blues and just grinding and riffing. I think that was my. Yeah. But Badlands, that first album, I wasn't a big Jake fan before that. When Badlands came out, I was like, whoa. And the same reason, the rhythm. I was like, this is amazing.
And Ray Gillen was like another reason to it. But I just actually found that first Badlands record on vinyl, which has been out of print. Yeah, it's an original pressing, and I was just like, I got a very, very fair deal on it, but like,
you're gonna need a bigger boat, man.
Yeah, well, dude, my wife has me cut off. I have like reached my maximum for vinyl. I have not bought a record in about.
If anybody knows where that quote comes from, we're gonna need a bigger boat. Let me know. Write it in the comments.
I saw that in the theaters over a couple weeks ago. So
I think it was recoming. Yeah. Came out.
I saw it. Yep, back at the end of Labor Day weekend. So
okay. So my third 1, 2 is that? Are we on? Yeah.
Are you on number 2 or 3?
Fourth. Okay. So we had Jason, Steve Vai, and Vito Bratta, who we talked about earlier. Okay.
So now you're on number 2.
Jason. Yeah. Okay. So I will save the most obscure one for last, but he definitely easily made the list. This one, I'm from New Jersey, man. Come on. Give me something. Who do you think?
From Jersey?
Don't say Bruce Springsteen, but I'm not Irish. I am
Zach?
Irish, but...
Is it Zach?
Zach's from Jersey?
Yeah.
Zach Wilde's from New Jersey?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, where?
He's from like well, he was born in Bayonne and he grew up in Eatontown.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
No,
great. Okay, not
all
him,
right. So
but
let me think. All right, so there's Steve Brown from Trickster,
I mean, think of New Jersey bands.
Dave Sabo, Scotty Hill. Oh, Sambora.
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he said, Jay Shackelford said, yeah, someone from Bon Jovi. Yes.
Yeah, I was like sitting there going, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
So
Richie
so
Sambora.
the Bon so of course I was just a huge. I wasn't a Bon Jovi guy for like some people. Like I have so many ex-girlfriends that are like, oh my God, John, and I'm like, please. I liked Richie's singing better than I liked John's, but I
Same.
get the placement of everybody in that band worked perfectly, and it was a business, as we see in these documentaries now. We see how big of it was
Yep.
structured as a
It was
business.
the machine.
John was the
Yep.
yep the machine, and Richie though, man, his solo, just the blues part about it was so amazing, and they were approachable solos, right? They weren't anything crazy like Racer X or all these crazy things. They were things that were based in blues. I mean, he talks about Jimmy Page. I remember seeing that Bon Jovi VHS of their live, the first VHS that came out of their live tour, and it was behind the scenes footage, and you see him jamming a little on like with maybe plugged into a clean amp or something, and all these things. I was like, oh my God, we're seeing the behind the scenes of this stuff, and then but there was one time he gets on stage and they're warming up, they're doing sound check, and Jimmy Page is over there. I guess he came on stage and was going to play with him, and the camera goes to him, and he just turns to the camera, he goes, Jimmy fucking Page, like he's just like ecstatic about it, and his love for the legends that I didn't follow as much came through in his playing, which then made me research more of those guys.
Sure.
And then when he came out with his solo album, dude,
Stranger in This Town is so good.
Dude, so brilliant. And again, I'll play one thing. This one should be easier to play. I have to try and get a clean tone here real quick. It's not a good clean tone, even though it's going through an amazing Fender amp. But I love that whole very beginning. I don't need a pick here. And here, I'll mess it up. Let me start by messing up. Yeah, I totally. I don't even know how that goes, dude. But it's all sixth intervals, and it's literally. What was it? And then he bends those intervals. Good God, I wish I remember. I can't even. I haven't listened to that album forever. Hey, guys, welcome to Guitar 101. If anybody's a teacher out there and wants to teach me something, I can't even hear the song in my. I think it is Stranger in This Town that starts with those six intervals.
All right, that was a good example, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So literally, cut this out, guys. Skip to the next part. But yeah, so he is just, and I just loved his personality too. He was again another one of those guys that was so fun. Obviously, there was a lot of drinking that went into that, and that's part of what laid him back so much. But man, I just love that whole rock vibe. It wasn't Iron Maiden, it wasn't Judas Priest, it wasn't Motley Crue where they were rock stars. These were just guys in a band down the street kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway.
No, I mean, I wasn't a big Bon Jovi guy. It was like never my scene, but I always respected. It's funny, like I never cared for Bon Jovi, but I love Richie. It's just like he just feels like kind of like our guy, but like it's one of those things where like if I never heard Bon Jovi again, I'd be happy, but I love Richie, so it's a weird thing. I don't quite get it, but yeah, no, his Stranger is like definitely the one record that I have, and yeah, I just and I love like that he's passionate about buying instruments, and it just dude's living his best life out in California. Just
I saw him at Norm's down the street.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's always at Norm's.
Yeah, he's always there and stuff, and just the nicest person. We'll actually hang out and talk with you, and yeah. And then Phil X got in that band, and man, I love Phil, but I love Phil for his drills stuff.
Yeah,
That drills band is holy crap, dude, amazing.
You were
so
doing
much
stuff,
fun.
And you were doing stuff with Phil
Yeah.
long before he was in Bon Jovi.
Before he got, but he had been in Bon Jovi years before that for a stint when Richie went to rehab for about 3, 4, 5 months or whatever. So that connection was always there from back in the day.
So yeah, if you guys haven't seen the video that Dave did with Phil, it's really cool.
Yeah, he goes over this one tune, especially this one tune he goes over, which is he does this weird artificial harmonic thing, and it's just it is the coolest, and that's the reason why I got in touch with Phil, because I just kind of had a friend of a friend or whatever, and I contacted him. I said, dude, I'm doing this lesson. I would love to include you explaining how to do it. I broke it down. I sent him the tab and stuff, and he was like, dude, you transcribed this? That's amazing. And he came over, and it was so much fun. Phil is an awesome dude. And I heard rumor that Bon Jovi was sort of possibly because John's voice was having troubles, and he said if he can't do it at least above 50%, like if he can't do it really well, he's just not going to do it. And I guess he's been doing rehearsals every day for weeks and weeks. And he said he says he's at the point where he thinks he can do a couple shows a year. And everybody was, of course, hyped, going, oh, is Richie coming back? Is he going to do those couple shows?
Right.
And it turns out it's a no-go, supposedly. Yeah.
So, hey, look.
Yeah. So what's your next guy?
So again, 1A, 1B, it's all the same for me. It's got to be Warren. It has to be Warren.
Yeah, he almost made my list. Almost.
I just think about how much I loved Warren when I was a kid and how much I still love Warren. And like literally, if you go to my Instagram page, I have 4 or 5 solos that I've learned from of Warren's. And I just sit there and I go oh, I got to learn this solo. I got to learn the body talk solo, and I figure them out, and then I learn them, and then I never play them again. But I go back and I'm like, holy crap, I played that really good. I think I could do it better, and but the thing about Warren is for me, the thing's always got to be, he's got to have a good vibrato. He's super, super melodic. His note choice is awesome. He's not complicated. It's either a major pentatonic or a minor pentatonic, or he does the blues scale. That's it. 3 things. You know what I mean? And I love when
he leans heavy on that flat 5.
Right. I was going to say, when he does the flat 5, especially at my favorite use of him doing the flat 5 is at the end of Round and Round, that closing out solo. He goes into that that one run. And I literally, if I'm playing, if I'm jamming with a friend or something, I literally have that in my little mental arsenal to try and throw that into something. It's just such a body of work. That's number 1. Number 2, also, it can't not have the cool factor. It was with an 80s player. It's the cool factor has to be a part of it. Warren was you wanted to have a Charvel or any of the other gear that he played, because he made it cool. And I'm so glad he's back doing it with Piercy. But it's we're all getting old, and so you watch him and you just see struggling a little on some of these shows. I've seen some of the YouTube footage, and I sit there and people are kind of talking smack, and I'm like, what would you rather he do? Would you rather he just sit at home? People are
dude, I don't get this world anymore.
No, it's just be happy. Be happy. One of your heroes is back, man. Let's be excited, man. And so I don't get that whole thing, but I love those, again, the 5 Rat records from the 80s and into the early 90s. And your roommate has done a bunch of killer videos with
Dave Brewster. Late night sessions guy.
Yeah, he's done a couple of really cool, little shout out for Dave Brewster, man. I love those I'm still figuring out some parts that I couldn't figure out. I kind of went to his stuff. So Yeah, his videos are excellent.
Anybody who doesn't know, anybody watching this, there's a guy, Dave Brewster. He does, I don't even know if he ever said his name. I think he said Dave, but anyway, I just gave it away. His address is, he is, he was my roommate at AIM, and I remember just being blown away. So funny enough, when one day we're going to talk about our experiences of music school and what it was, and excitement, how when we first got there, what we expected, what was different, all that. We're going to go into this stuff. I think I love these kind of conversations. And one of them was when I went to music school. Most people do the whole year. I did 6-month program. I took the summer off, came back so I had 2 different classes. Most people go through the same class throughout the whole thing. You graduate all together. A lot of people drop out, huge dropout rates, at least for our school. And so ours was the biggest class coming in, actually. And then everybody dropped out after first quarter. It was crazy. I mean, it was one where they weren't accredited yet. So anyway, we'll get into this another time. So then I went home, came back, and then my second quarter, my new roommate was Dave and 2 other guys, and we lived in this place. And dude, I just remember the first guy I had as a roommate, the prior session, his name was William Galbraith or something like that. Dude, crazy. Like, before we went to school, where we exchanged, again, this is pre-internet, pre-anything. So we would talk the school would set you up with a roommate. You'd talk on the phone. If you guys got along, you're roommates.
Yep.
And so, then we have 6 months before school starts, because that was the beginning of the summer, 3 months, whatever. And we'd be talking every once in a while. We're so excited to go, blah, 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 all this stuff.
Yes.
And he'd send me an audio tape of his stuff. I'd send him an audio tape of my stuff. And he was so far advanced, dude. His tapping, he had all this legato sweep picking with high tap notes, doing the whole, just a tap note way up here and getting that screamy. I can't even, just even the, right? And he'd always bend the note up and down. That's me playing fast again, not doing anything meaningful. But he'd get that screamy, he'd do arpeggios into these taps, and you're just like, dude, that is cool as shit. And then I remember one time he came home and he said he had just taken a private lesson from Shane Terrio, and he had come home and said, yeah, I may be leaving this school. This school doesn't have a lot to offer. I'm like, are you serious? And he goes, yeah, I don't know. Shane's a great teacher, and he's the only one that I really vibe with. And he's like, but I know everything he knows. And I go, see you, dude. Wash the dishes before you leave. I was like, are you shitting me? And then I get Brewster, and then I live the rest of that quarter by myself because we had the apartment, whatever, so I had no roommate. And then I come back, and Dave Brewster's my roommate with a few other guys that were really cool. And, dude, Dave blew my mind every single, like, he played with such feel. He was very much into Joe Satriani, huge into him. And he had that legato thing down, man. And then he started getting into, so anyway, Dave Brewster, Late Night Sessions, it's called, has a YouTube channel. And
he's great.
Fantastic, dude.
Much love for him. Yeah. Yep. So, but that's where I got a bunch of like the Warren stuff. If I get lazy and can't figure it out, I'll be like, all right, let me see if there's somebody that I can trust that has it.
Right.
Yeah.
And dude, the Warren stuff, I love. People say, what's your one thing? If you pick up a guitar, what's the first thing you generally play? Is there something for you?
Me, like as far as a lick goes, or
anything. Do you play a chord? Do you do something just to see?
I will generally like just kind of go like, I usually just go to like D minor and play like a D minor 7 chord, and then just kind of like do like little interval stuff. But yeah, why do you have something?
I have a few things. The first thing is always when I turn on an amp just to see if it's playing, I always play the bar chord, the E chord, which is just an open E, second fret. And then, but you double that B note on the 3rd fret of the G string and the open string of the G string. So you're not getting that major third, you're just getting really fifths and roots. I just want to hear that. And now that tells me if the guitar's in tune, because you're hearing octaves, and you're also getting a really open string kind of thing. But then the other thing I play is, Dude, I absolutely, that is one of my favorite rhythm riffs of all time. And then I, even though I have the drop D tuning right now, this nut's not working up here, so I gotta re-drill it. But so I can't drop D. But I'm always angry when I don't have a drop D tune on here, and I have to play that the next part. So I have to double up that part and go,
right?
Because you can't, you need that extra low D note down there droning.
Yep.
But then hit that thing that we talked about the other week, which is that bending thing where you go,
yeah.
And then he lends on that flat 5, right? But that is something to me that is so, because you could take that in any E minor pentatonic here. Right, you could bend any notes you want, but then he goes down to the, if you want to do maybe the 6th interval, the flat 5 of E. You know, it just gets you in and out of things, and now you're not thinking about licks, you're not thinking about, and you'll find what sounds good. And now you come off of a lick that is such a cool idea, and you come up with your own stuff. Dude, Warren was so many little hidden gems in there. And that rhythm, though, how cool is that rhythm?
No, I mean, everything about Warren just was cool. And like, just the thing about his solos were like, they were mini songs. Like, you know, like I think Vito was like that too, where, you know, he had like those solos that were like mini songs. But to me, like, Warren solos were so just tasty, over the top with the, you know, like in a good way. And then, you know, he had the vibrato that just killed. So for me, that was my number 2 guy.
Okay.
So I think we're up to the final. We're up to the final guy.
And you will never, ever guess this guy, ever. There's no way. Popular band was he's somebody that he's in a hugely popular band now.
Okay.
And as far as 80s band that's still doing it.
Okay.
But he was hired as a hired gun. Now he's been part of the band for a very long time. It's really more of a pop rock band, but his stuff was never pop rock really.
Okay.
Let me see. I can't really give you any more.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I forget who he first started with, but there's okay. So then who he started with really was really dark, heavy rock, like not you know, a lot of songs with devil stuff.
I know who it is.
Okay,
I know who it is. Is it Vivian?
Yeah. Yep. So Vivian Campbell, dude, holy shit! And I wasn't into him during the Dio days. Like I didn't, because I just didn't know. And then when he came onto the scene with, for me, the first real introduction was River Dogs.
Sure,
dude, that first album just killed. Like it was, and then I remember finally I was always like, I wasn't good enough to transcribe stuff. So when that transcription book came out, I was like psyched. I was like, I'm gonna learn all of this. It's so amazing. And then when I started learning it, I was like, I'm not gonna learn any of this because there's so many small parts, and nothing is something like a Van Halen or even that Warren DeMartini where you could just play it and it's a real riff. Even the songs didn't have huge, memorable riffs to it, but the songs were brilliant. And the solos, the way he goes up scales, or he does a lot of double picking of notes and he goes up fifths intervals, and dude, and his tone for that stuff, brilliant. Vibrato, everything. Just I didn't learn a lot note for note of his, but he was a huge guy on my playlist all the time. And then now Def Leppard and everything, I was never a big Def Leppard fan. I liked them, but I wasn't, the crazy guy. Now I like them more. Like everything, And then Whitesnake was the big one too.
Right. See, I look to me like where Vivian is I love Vivian with Dio. I
Right.
love those two records. The first two Dio records. The playing is great. The tunes are great. That's a byproduct of really Ronnie and the band writing songs. So it's not really a Vivian thing, but the solos on those records are like, I mean, yeah, I could literally just go downstairs and pick up Holy Diver and sit there and go like, oh my god, and just so many great tunes, but just his another one like it's not super hard to figure out like the solos. It's just they're so good. Total Gary Moore influence, total
Yeah.
Rory Gallagher influence. I mean, he's got all the ingredients.
Well, I'm
And I'm
sure that's
so
one that Jay Shackelford,
yeah,
31, is
yeah,
into. The who did you just say? Gary Moore.
yeah,
I mean,
Gary
that's
Moore.
easily on a list.
And so really it's funny for me, like I was like, is Gary Moore considered an 80s guy? Because he really worked into the 90s, with all the blues records, and he kind of had a second career. Like really in the 80s he was
Yeah.
kind of a more of a metal guy, and then he started to slowly transition into like more of a rock guy, and then by the end of the 80s he was really really done with that. He switched the red Strat for like for the Sunburst Les Paul, and then
Right.
Greenie and all that stuff. So Gary Moore, like again, he was so close to being on my all-time favorite list, and I didn't put him on this because I don't really consider him an 80s player. But god damn it, man, I fucking love Gary Moore. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry with the cursing, but holy crap, man. Like, I just adore Gary Moore. Like, there's just, he's everything. I mean, I stole so much off of him. But for me, I guess my favorite 80s guy, besides kind of, the guys we talked about last week, and I mentioned him last week, was Lynch. I love George.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, it's kind of goes without saying. To me, it's the same thing as Warren and Jake. Like, they had like to a 15-year-old kid, they just looked cool. They
Yeah.
played really cool guitars with reverse headstocks and cool looking snakeskin guitars, and they just looked awesome. And I felt like George was so much different than Warren and Jake in so many ways. But what Ed George is probably the most tone dependent out of these guys in that sense, where like Warren, I feel like he'll play on anything. George really like has that like very greasy, wet sound, but like that's his sound, And to me, like the first Lynch Mob record was probably his best tone. He's kind of had that tone where it wasn't really one of those records where like I wasn't hearing. Like, are you hearing me, Dave?
Interesting.
Can you hear me?
Somehow we lost me.
Okay. Well,
I think we're gonna have to end this podcast.
Hey, Dave, let me finish up here. If we lost you,
Yeah.
So just so everybody, we lost Dave on our audio. So I apologize for that. And we were actually coming to the end anyhow, but Dave's here on my phone, so we managed to I have him on the phone here. So as we wrap this up, I just was saying, like, George with the first George record, the Lynch Mob record, and then his solo record, which Sacred Groove is another one. And George is actually just releasing another Lynch Mob record in the next couple of weeks. So, looking forward to hearing some new George music. But since Dave's not here to say the goodbyes, I just wanted to, on his behalf, thank you guys for joining us this week. Wanted to just ask you again to please subscribe. And if there's anything you guys want to talk about, please leave a comment. And we really do appreciate all the support and all the time that you guys have watched the shows with us. So yeah, definitely. Once we get the video and audio figured out for next week, we will be back. Same bat time, same bat channel. Dave, I think we're ready to shut it all down. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and we will see you all next week. Take care now. Bye.